Are you a lifelong fan of General Hospital?
Are you a new fan who wants to know more about the history of the show?
Do you enjoy talking about the show with others?
Do you find yourself yelling at the TV?
Is your self-care an hour a day in Port Charles?
If so, we invite you to join hosts
Amanda Kimmel
and Shannon Coach at the place where all the hidden conversations take place and secrets are revealed.
Meet us at Pier 54,
a General Hospital fan podcast.
Hello.
Hi.
Welcome to the Port Charles 411.
All about Shawn Butler.
Yes. Oh, okay. So he was only on a brief time during last week's show. So obviously this is being recorded. We're actually recording on Monday night because we just had stuff going on all weekend. And so there is wine involved.
That's a good disclaimer.
So just heads up. And I've been working on mailings all day and been able to kind of binge a lot of YouTube. So I am like on a Shawn high.
I can't wait to hear your favorite parts.
I didn't get very far because, I mean, they still have like other stuff to do. I only found like 120 videos.
Only found 120
but there's
videos.
Definitely a lot of gaps that I'm just like, wait, how did we get here from there? Like,
yes.
And the worst part is that they talk about it. And it was definitely a Shawn-centered thing that they're talking about. And I'm like, but where was it?
Right.
Like, why did I not get to see this? But the man is amazing.
Yes.
He's amazing.
Mm-hmm. And easy on the eyes on top of that.
Just a bit. Just a bit. So we'll get started talking about Shawn because many people probably have no idea because this is also how they introduce new characters.
Right.
Is by randomly surprise.
Exactly.
Now I have ties. No. Mr. Shawn Butler joined us in January 2011. He's portrayed by Shawn Blakemore. However, his Shawn is spelled S-E-A-N, whereas the show is S-H-A-W-N.
Yes.
So not spelled the same, but whatever. And he was only short-term recast by Chase Wright in 2003.
It doesn't feel like that long ago that we had him.
It doesn't.
So.
It really doesn't.
He's one of those characters that sticks with you.
Yes. So just a little bit of background story. Shawn Butler was born and raised in Detroit, Michigan. As a kid, Shawn admires his father, quote, Big Ray, like nickname, Butler. And one night when Shawn is 6 years old, he and Ray go to a store and Shawn watches as his father is gunned down. So very similar to how other people have seen great violence in their early childhood.
Right.
However, we quickly learn that Shawn became a Marine and does struggle with PTSD. But we're not going to get into all of that because it's part of all the story. And we'll get started in 2011.
Shawn Butler first appeared in January 2011, comforting Molly Lansing, who was suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder after a ski trip.
Did you watch this?
I did. He's so sweet with her.
She was so, I mean, she's a woman now.
Yes.
But she was a little girl. And it's the same Molly.
Girl. Yes. I love whenever they keep the same characters.
But,
and she was scared, not to go off on her too much, but she was scared that what she was feeling was bipolar, like Uncle Sonny.
Well, did you watch, like,
yes.
She talked to Sonny about, well, it's genetic and you're my uncle, so I'm thinking that I could be bipolar. And he was so supportive.
He was.
He was like, okay, well, if you are, sweet. I'm here.
Right. There's meds that can help you. Everything's going to be okay. But Shawn talked to her for like 2 minutes and was like, no, that is not what's wrong with you. I'm pretty sure it's post-traumatic stress from
But he did it kindly. Accident. He was like, so why do you think that?
Right.
You know, he didn't say, no, you're not.
Exactly.
You know, he was like, so why are you thinking that? And she tells him the story.
Yes. So adorable. Shawn opens up about his own PTSD struggles and talks her through it. Molly's aunt, Carly Jacks, later shows her gratitude by offering Shawn a room at her hotel, but he declines, which was also super nice.
I was going to say, but this whole scene was great because Carly actually saw Molly talking to Shawn because this is the bus accident that all the kids were in that Molly saw one of her friends die, or Christina saw one of her friends die.
I think it was one of Christina's friends.
But they were all in it. We talked about it.
I don't know.
I forget which 411, but we did talk about it during one of the 411s. It was a big traumatic thing, obviously. And Shawn breaks down and says, well, what happened? And she's like, well, I heard it was something to do with the car. Like there was the car accident. She's like, all I saw was the bus. And 1 minute we're okay. And the next minute, and that's when he figured out, he's like, okay, I think you might have PTSD. But then Carly shows up and she's like, hey, Molly, you know, and he gently explains the situation.
Right.
And Carly just took care of her. And she's like, okay, I'm going to take you home. And Alexis was really great receiving Molly coming home.
Yes. And Carly had not met Shawn before. So she was very nice, but protective. Like,
yeah. And who are you?
Is this man sitting with my niece?
Yep.
So,
but then he was at the Metro Court later on, and Carly was like, well, I want to thank you for your service. Right. So not just helping Molly, but also respecting the fact that he was a Marine.
Right.
And said, anything you want from the hotel is on us.
And he wouldn't take it.
Yep.
I loved it. It's soon revealed that Shawn is working for Theo Hoffman, who was also secretly operating as the Balkan. That guy was so creepy.
Honestly, though, I really want to rewatch all of that because it was probably one of the best. I don't even want to say it was one of the best because I thought it was so weird.
It was so weird. He was an international crime lord, in case you don't know who he is. On Theo's orders, Shawn is sent to kidnap Brenda Barrett on February 18th, just before her wedding, which she was marrying Sonny. I don't know how many times I've tried to do that at this point.
And Molly and Christina were in the wedding.
Yes. That was so cute,
sweet.
too. They were adorable. However, several visitors get in the way and Shawn can't get to Brenda. He later heads back to Theo's office and calls him, awaiting his next orders. He's then confronted by Sam McCall, who reveals she knows all about the Balkan and his plans. After a brief struggle, he grabs and holds Sam at gunpoint. Sam's boyfriend, Jason Morgan, of course, then arrives, pulls out his gun, and warns Shawn not to hurt Sam or he's a dead man. After holding each other at gunpoint, Shawn explains he only recently started to work for Theo and that he was a freelancer. He revealed that instead of following orders, he walked away not wanting to bring harm to women or children. Because Jason was really questioning him, like, why didn't you just break in and take Brenda? And he was like, no, my plan was to get Brenda, and I didn't want to shoot Carly. And then he went on about how much he liked Carly, which was cute.
Yep.
Jason and Sam realize Shawn doesn't want to hurt anyone and convince him to help bring down Theo.
Theo realizes Shawn has betrayed him and decides Shawn has to be taken out. So after Jason and Shawn attempt to lure Theo to a location, he sends his men in place and orders them to open fire, turning it into a shootout. Jason got away, but Carly finds a wounded Shawn passed out on the side of the road and brings him to her house and helps him by tending his wound. And this was really cute because she's like, I was in nursing school for a minute. I know exactly what to do. But he's holding his gun on her the whole time.
Right.
You know, and I mean, she is lucky he did not shoot her when she first went over to get him because he was like, whoa, get off me.
Yeah.
But, he didn't want to let her take care of him.
I mean, he doesn't know who he can trust at this point because he's still so new.
Sonny Corinthos, Carly's ex, soon arrives at the house looking for Shawn as he blames him for having a role in planting the car bomb that led to the disappearance of his now wife, Brenda. And that wound up actually being Sam, but that's a whole other story. Shawn tells Sonny that he had nothing to do with it and that it was all Theo's plan. Sonny doesn't believe it and has his goons tie Shawn up with orders to kill him if he doesn't talk. Sonny ultimately doesn't do anything, and when he leaves, Shawn is taken to the hospital to get proper care. Something so big is missing out of this is that Michael and Morgan were sitting outside in the car, and it was not Brian Craig. It was the little kid, Morgan, before they aged him up.
Right.
But it was Chad Duell. So it's always weird when they do that because they aged up one, but not the other, but then they aged up.
Right.
Yeah, whatever. They saw like a car that they did not recognize outside the house. And so then I guess they peeked in and saw Sonny. And this was like right when Michael was, so if you're newer to the show, Michael has not always been, although Willow even said it recently, you're a shark. And that was my, I thought about that after a whole other conversation that we had on Monday, but that's a whole other thing. But Michael really wanted to be like Sonny and be in his organization and everything.
Right.
So then he goes into the house and is basically like telling Sonny, don't do this, don't shoot him. Morgan calls Dante and is like, Dad is in there with some guy has a bullet, like he's bleeding. I'm pretty sure Dad's going to kill this guy. So Dante goes as son, not as cop, although he does eventually pull out his badge and was like, seriously guys, you might want to listen to me here. But Michael is trying to talk Sonny down from shooting him. And Carly's like, nope. You want to do this? You're going to do it right in front of me and Michael.
Wow. No, I did not watch that one.
It was really, really good. So we will have the playlist in our show notes. But again, like we said at the beginning, we didn't get everything, but that is definitely in there and it's pretty darn good. Okay. Oh yeah. So Shawn's taken to the hospital to get proper care.
We're going to say that sentence like 6 times.
Of course.
During Shawn's hospital stay, Theo sent one of his men to kill Shawn, but he fights the guy off pretty easily. Of course he does, because Shawn can take on anyone.
He is buff.
Mm-hmm. Shawn then briefly leaves town to get all the records he has on Theo and shares everything with Jason when he comes back. Brenda was eventually found, and Jason appreciated all Shawn had done to help bring her home. When serial killer Franco, which I can't believe that's been that long.
It was James Franco, the OG Franco.
Mm-hmm. Begins menacing Carly and her daughter Jocelyn, Jason hires Shawn as their personal bodyguard. Jasper Jacks, Carly's estranged husband, strongly objects to Shawn guarding his daughter, as he doesn't want someone with ties to the mob protecting Jocelyn. He attempts to pay Shawn to quit, but Shawn states that he can't be paid off.
He cannot. Jax then digs into Shawn's past and finds out that he had been dishonorably discharged from the military because he had killed a fellow Marine. Jax then threatened to use Shawn's violent past against Carly during their custody hearing to prove Carly as an unfit mother. Carly defends Shawn, but he quits, not wanting to have anything to do with messing up Carly's chances of keeping her daughter. He always puts the kids first, all the time. Kids are first. Shawn then confronts Jax by telling him that he quit. Shawn ordered Jax to leave Carly out of whatever issue Jax had with him, and Jax then taunted Shawn about killing a Marine, and Shawn responds by punching Jax in the face. And the best part of this whole scene was the fact that Jax called him a soldier, and he goes, Marine. And Jax is like, what? He's like, you called me a soldier. I'm not a soldier. I'm a Marine.
Oh,
yeah, right. Because they're not.
Right.
And then
he punched
him. It was good.
In July 2011, Jax lost custody of his daughter to Carly after Sonny framed him for the drug possession, and Jax quickly leaves town. I forgot about all their fights.
Know!
Shawn believes Jax will be back and begins paying more attention to Carly and her daughter. In August 2011, Shawn's instincts were right, and Jax comes home attempting to kidnap Jocelyn. Shawn catches Jax before he's able to leave, but his efforts are stalled when Jax brings up an incident in Shawn's past where he unintentionally injured a young girl during the same event that caused his PTSD. Shawn started to remember the incident, and he froze, and Jax walked right out the door with Jocelyn. Shawn recovers and starts going around town looking for Jocelyn. He manages to track Jocelyn and Jax down at Robin Scorpio's house. Shawn talks to Jax, who eventually gives Jocelyn to Shawn, and Shawn brings her home to Carly.
And they did a really good job because it was like Jax said something and it triggered, and all you heard was you saw Shawn's face just thinking, and it was hearing please don't do this. And it was the little girl.
Aww.
And so that's when Jax kind of sneaked out, and then it's he regained consciousness and
poor Shawn.
Awareness, not consciousness.
Poor Shawn.
Mm-hmm. So then when Jax is presumed dead after his private jet crashed into the harbor, we just talked about this when we talked about Alexis. Shawn comforts Carly, but a body wasn't found, making her believe that Jax is still alive. Shawn encouraged her to trust her instincts and gave her more hope when he found out that Carly's boat was missing from the harbor. I hate when my boat just randomly goes missing. Jason later approaches Shawn with a job to take over his position in the Corinthos organization temporarily when he is preparing to marry Sam. Carly and Shawn continue to grow closer as he becomes more involved in the business. He protects Carly's son Michael from getting busted with illegal drugs that were planted in Sonny's warehouse. However, Michael does not approve of his mother and Shawn's budding relationship. So what happened was, I guess Michael was doing counts of the coffee bags, and there were 7 extra. And they were hydrochloric something. I'm totally messing up, but it's hydro something.
Okay.
And Shawn's like, I need to hide them before the cops come. And Carly's like, what are you going to do? Just carry out 7 bags in front of the cops? And so she shows him this hidden, safe panel that after Michael got shot, Sonny had put in. And so she triggers the door to open and everything. And so I guess they bring a couple bags in, and then the door shuts on them. And so they are stuck for hours.
Oh no.
In that room. And he's not talking. She's like, can I ask you 5 questions? And if she responded are you serious? That was 1 gone. So he's like, all right, you're down to 2. And then they wound up putting the drugs in the air vents because in case the cops found them.
Right.
And so they were kind of, Michael was under the impression that things happened that did not.
Good job, Carly, keeping her hands to herself, because I don't know that I could have that restraint.
For the time being.
In October 2011, after receiving a package from Franco, Carly becomes worried, and she and Shawn go to Hawaii to warn Jason, who is on his honeymoon with new wife Sam. They stay with Sam and Jason and bond and ultimately share a kiss on October 27th. How would you like someone just crashing your honeymoon?
Watch that. Watch that. It's,
I saw parts of it, but I didn't see them land. I didn't realize that was the honeymoon, I guess.
She kept trying to call them, and she kept like leaving Jason voicemails and is like, I understand it's your honeymoon. Can you just call me back? Like, this is an emergency.
Okay.
And when they get there, Sam's like, our phones died. And she's like, I told you I've been trying to call you guys, because Sam's giving her crap. Like, you didn't think there was another way to get a hold of us? And she's like, I was trying to.
I saw the part that they had got confirmation that Franco wasn't there, and Sam was like, okay, you can go home now. Like,
Right.
why are you still here?
Yep.
So that was funny. In November 2011, on Veterans Day, Shawn opens up to Carly about his friends and fellow Marine Tommy Ashford, whom he accidentally killed in Afghanistan, and how his father was gunned down right in front of him when he was a kid. Carly and Shawn spend Thanksgiving together at Kelly's, but Shawn realizes they are getting too personal and pulls away. When Franco makes contact again, Shawn moves in with Carly temporarily to protect her and Jocelyn.
That's where I got up to watch.
Okay.
So they had Thanksgiving together, and he cooks. And he was staying, apparently if you're staying in the rooms at Kelly's, you also have access, like full access to the kitchen. Because Carly went one time, she was having like late night cravings or something. And he's like, well, don't you have a key? Your family owns this. And she's like, yeah, they don't trust me with that. So he took her in and he made her chili and cornbread. And I'm like,
really?
Yeah.
I want to live above
And this
Kelly's.
was before he was working there. So, oh, shoot. Spoiler alert. But then, yeah, so he winds up making them Thanksgiving dinner, but Carly ordered it catered in from the Metro Court. And so they exchanged plates to see whose dinner is better.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she lost.
Of course.
In December 2011, Shawn and Jason's accountant, Bernie Abrams, attends a meeting in Jason's place, but it was ambushed and Bernie is shot by an unknown assailant.
That was so sad.
I miss Bernie.
I love Bernie.
Shawn handled the situation, but he was overcome by his PTSD. Carly soon arrived after and was concerned about the state of shock she found Shawn in. Carly soon found out that therapy dogs can help with PTSD, and for Christmas, she gets Shawn a dog to help with his PTSD.
That was so cute.
Whom is named Wilson.
That was so cute.
So cute.
And
very thoughtful.
Yes, it reminds us that Carly can be very thoughtful
Well, he
and
brought
sweet.
that up, and he was like, when was the last time you thought about you? And she's like, well, if you ask a lot of people, they'll say always.
Right.
And he's like, no, you're kind of crazy, but it's for everybody else.
Yes.
You know, you're fierce for your kids, you're fierce for whichever husband we're with. But it's not really, and even still, you know, it's never really about her.
Right.
It's about the people she loves.
Yes, I agree. In January 2012, as Shawn is preparing to leave Port Charles, he is forced to take in Tommy's troubled teenage son, TJ Ashford, who has run away from home. Shawn decides to take him in. Carly then hires Shawn to manage Kelly's diner. Shawn convinces Alexis Davis, Molly's mother, to let Molly tutor TJ as he needs help with his schoolwork. And I saw part of that. I did watch part of that where TJ was whining about it. He was like, I have to be tutored by this nerd. I have other things to do. And now you're like, oh, but you're in love and you're married and it's cute. Shawn is jealous of Carly's new relationship with Johnny Zakara, and TJ calls him out on his feelings for her. Shawn later tries to convince Carly to officially divorce Jax when Jax sells his half of their hotel to Carly's rival, Kate Howard, without telling her. This is bringing back all the good names.
I know. I'm like, we need to do a deep dive on the Metro Court.
In February 2012, Shawn and Michael find common ground when Michael decides to go to college, and Shawn ends up being his tutor. At the urging of GH's new resident psychiatrist, Ewan Keenan,
who we just talked about a little while ago and talked to.
Yes. Shawn asks to escort Carly to the General Hospital pulmonary benefit at the Metro Court, but she doesn't return his call. After much probing from TJ, Shawn confronts Carly and tells her that he wants to be with her. When she doesn't return his feelings, Shawn backs off. Poor Shawn.
Mm-hmm. In April 2012, Raynell Rance, a woman Shawn is seeing, is attacked by a mystery man who is attacking dancers from Vaughn's. Shawn brings Raynell to the PCPD to see Dolores Padilla. In summer 2012, Shawn started to develop feelings for Alexis, but he feared he would lose the opportunity when he finds out that she was injected with a substance that caused her to get a dangerously high fever. He prayed for Alexis to be okay, and when he found out she was going to be okay, he asked her out on a date. Alexis agreed to go out with Shawn, but it had to be delayed because Jerry Jacks returned to town and poisoned the town's water supply. And everyone except for Jocelyn and Alexis were infected. This was due to Jerry injecting a substance in both Alexis and Jocelyn so they won't be infected by the toxin. Jerry did this because Jocelyn is his niece and Alexis is the love of his life. Jerry goes to Alexis's home and rings the doorbell. Shawn answers the door and sees Jerry. They have a confrontation and Shawn puts up a valiant effort, but he is too weak to give much of a fight. I find it interesting that Alexis is the love of his life because he almost married Bobby.
Mm-hmm.
Jerry, not Shawn.
Right.
But okay.
Alexis sees the door open and goes outside. She sees Jerry and he takes her hostage. That shows love.
Yeah.
Shawn regains consciousness and realizes Jerry took Alexis and he goes off to find her. Shawn runs into Sunny and they go to find Alexis. They get on a speedboat and find where Jerry took Alexis. How much access do you have to speedboat? They soon find her tied up and Shawn brings her back home safely. After the fiasco, Jerry is presumed dead due to the explosion on the docks. The antidote for the toxins was given out and cured a lot of people while also making everyone feel better. Well, I would hope so. That's the point.
Yes.
Once everyone settled down, Shawn and Alexis were able to start their relationship. Once everything settled down, I'm sorry. In late 2012, Shawn becomes Sunny's friend and associate after Jason Morgan is presumed dead because of Cesar Faison masquerading as Duke Lavery, shot Jason in the back and kicked him into the harbor. When Alexis overhears Shawn and Sunny talking at Kelly's, she wonders if Shawn is starting to work for Sunny. She tells Shawn she really does care about him. She doesn't want anything to happen to him because of Sunny's business. She would be devastated. Shawn returns the sentiments. He and Alexis end up having sex in Shawn's room and they become lovers.
I'm loving how much this mirrors so many of the other ones that we've talked about, but it gives us like different vantage points.
Yes.
On March 25th, 2013, Shawn is shown that's a tough sentence. Shawn is shown with a gun in the park with police officers Dante Falconeri and Anna Devane. They tell him to drop it, and he does. They ask him if he shot Nicholas Cassadine, and he says no, as he was just doing surveillance work for Sunny. He saw a guy and went after him. He convinced them that he was telling the truth, and as they were talking, a guy is seen pointing a gun at them. Shawn pushes Anna out of the way and takes the bullet instead. After Anna and Dante catch the guy, Shawn is taken to the hospital by the paramedics. Later on that month, Alexis is seen helping take care of Shawn as he makes a full recovery.
Alexis never went to nursing school. How does she know how to take care of him?
I don't know.
Without Carly's help. In April 2013, Shawn goes to the nurses' ball held at the Metro Court with Alexis. Tracy Quartermain is at Kelly's where she is trying to get Shawn to enter into a pickle relish deal while opposing party and nephew, AJ Quartermain, is also at the diner. That pickle relish stuff we've talked about before was just crazy.
But it brought Sean Kanan back, so that worked.
I guess so. Shawn is told to take the Pickle Lila signs down by AJ due to the naming being owned by ELQ with the product owned by Tracy. But Shawn offers AJ and Michael the Kelly's Kitchen for some recipe making. He also talks to TJ about going to the courthouse for TJ's rival, Rafe Kovich Jr.'s court proceedings for Lucy Coe and Kevin Collins to be Rafe's guardians.
I miss Rafe.
I know. He was so sweet.
He was so cute.
Yes. He was just like that typical story of you could see there was more there. It was so sweet.
He was a victim of his circumstance.
Exactly. Shawn enters into business with ELQ Enterprises' current CEO, AJ Quartermain, and AJ's son, Michael, in making their new version of Pickle Lila.
In May 2013, Franco is revealed to be alive, and Sunny and Carly despise him, so they order Shawn to kill Franco. Shawn follows Franco around town, but can't seem to get a clear shot. Sunny then called the whole thing off, as he didn't want anyone innocent to be caught in the crossfire. Carly, hell-bent on getting rid of Franco, goes behind Sunny's back and reorders the hit after Sunny told her to stay out of it. Shawn goes along with Carly's plan, not knowing that Sunny doesn't know anything about it. He knows her well enough by now. He should have known.
Yes.
Carly sets everything up at the Metro Court on the terrace. Shawn waits for a while to get a clean shot at Franco, and when he sees it, he fires. But instead of hitting Franco, he shoots Olivia. After the incident, Shawn is horrified at the fact that he shot an innocent woman, which goes back to his whole thing, like,
yes.
He only goes after the target. He only does specifically what he was hired to do. He's not going to
take out unnecessary casualties.
Right. And he's concerned that Olivia may die. Alexis then catches Shawn in a lie about his whereabouts and suspects that he could have shot Olivia.
Dun, dun, dun. Later on that month, the guilt grows for Shawn, and he tells Sonny and Carly he's going to go to the cops and confess his involvement in the shooting. Shawn then goes to the police station, telling Dante he has something to tell him. Before he can confess, Anna pulls Dante aside, telling him she has something he has to see. Carly then pulls Shawn into the interrogation room, as she was already there being interrogated herself about the shooting. She tells Shawn he doesn't have to confess, but Shawn then tells her he's not going to implicate her or Sonny. He just has to get this off his chest. Dante then rushes in, followed by Anna. Dante reveals that the gun that they recovered doesn't match the bullet that was shot into Olivia. Therefore, there was another gun. Hearing this, Shawn realizes he didn't shoot Olivia and doesn't confess. Shawn and Carly then go to the Metro Court Terrace, and Shawn finds the bullet he fired lodged in a wall, proving he had nothing to do with the shooting. Carly and Shawn are relieved that their actions didn't put Olivia in the hospital, and Shawn gets rid of any evidence that ties them to the shooting.
A few days later, Shawn is forced to confront his relationship with Alexis, and she puts the pieces together about his involvement in Sonny's business. She tells him she knows that he shot Olivia, but he tells her he didn't because the bullet he shot was still in the wall at the hotel. That means the bullet that was shot into Olivia did not come from his gun. She's an attorney. She should know about this whole forensic evidence thing. Alexis tells Shawn it doesn't matter because he still intended on killing someone.
Never done that.
And apparently Alexis doesn't want that to be part of her life. She should have hung on to that one. Then they get into an argument about Shawn still working for Sonny. And then he calls Alexis a hypocrite because she's Sonny's lawyer and has a child with him.
Exactly.
Well, I mean,
no, he was already in the mob whenever that child was created.
Yes, but she was a one-night stand, wasn't she? She wasn't...
Shannon, any time that you have relations with someone, it can end up with you
I understand that, but I'm saying
so she should have known that.
But she actively chose to repeatedly be Sonny's lawyer, whereas she may have just had one night of passion with Sonny that resulted in the fabulous Christina, but it wasn't a repeated...
It doesn't matter.
I know it only takes one time.
Okay.
I do know how that works.
Okay.
I'm just saying. The odds. I'm going with the odds here.
Okay.
Yeah. She then comes back saying that's completely different than killing someone at any given moment. Like grabbing a syringe and trying to plunge it into someone's heart. They can... Oh, how ironic. They were both trying to kill the same person, though.
Well.
He was trying to kill Franco, and she was trying to kill Franco.
Yep.
There we go. They continue to... That makes this whole argument even worse.
I hope that he says that he gets out and then says that to her. Remember whenever you were on me about the fact that I was trying to kill Franco, but then you tried to kill Franco?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They continue to argue until Alexis issues an ultimatum.
She tells Shawn to quit working for Sonny or the relationship is over. Shawn then tells Alexis he doesn't like warnings, but he loves her and doesn't want to lose her. Shawn then heads to Sonny's house intent on quitting. He stops at the last minute after realizing he likes working for Sonny, likes how he thinks and the power that comes with it. He then heads back to Alexis's house and tells her he didn't quit. She asks why, and Shawn says he just couldn't let it go, and that it gave him something he didn't know he needed until he almost threw it away. Alexis tells Shawn she can't be with him anymore, and they break up on the 4th of July.
Aw, it's a really sad day to be breaking up. In May 2014, Sonny asks Shawn to get Ava Jerome out of town before her brother Julian kills her for giving Sonny information about his business. Later, Shawn goes to the Jerome Gallery and finds Ava holding Julian at gunpoint because he tried to kill her after Morgan hit Julian over the head with a wine bottle. That's a dysfunctional family. Shawn later talks Ava down, reminding her that Julian needs to be alive for Danny Morgan's sake if the child ever gets sick again. Aw, why didn't anyone worry about that? Julian, trying to get back at Ava, reveals to Shawn that Ava was the one that shot Sonny's girlfriend, Olivia, last year. That's right! That's how we met Ava! Wasn't that how we met Ava?
Was that how we met her? I don't know.
I think that's because she came around in 2013.
That would make sense, but I don't know.
Ooh, we're going to have to
watch our own videos.
We never talked about Ava. We haven't. Yeah.
Okay. There you go. In May 2015, Duke Lavery was murdered, and Sonny assumed that Jake Doe killed him. As a result, he sent Shawn to take Jake out. Shawn arrived at the warehouse and tried to shoot Jake, but Jordan arrived and disarmed him. That was back when Jordan, did stuff and was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
While being disarmed, Shawn fired a shot into the garage as Nicholas Cassadine's hitman shot Hayden Barnes in the head. Jake then emerged from the garage and attacked Shawn, but Jordan was able to stop Jake and revealed her true loyalty to Shawn. On May 27th, Shawn was sent to prison for Hayden's shooting.
On November 19th, Hayden goes to see Shawn in prison. While there, Shawn tells Hayden that he did not shoot her, and she says that she knows. Hayden then proceeded to tell Shawn that Jake is really Jason Morgan. Shawn is shocked that he tried to kill Jason. Hayden also tells him that the bullet from Shawn's gun missed and another person shot her. Shawn says he did not see another shooter and asked if she told the cops. Hayden says that she didn't, and Shawn tells her he is relieved to know that he did not shoot an innocent woman.
Again.
This poor man, I know. Shawn puts Hayden in contact with his friend Curtis Ashford to help in the investigation of the shooting.
On April 4th, 2016, Jason and Sam visited Shawn in prison and asked him questions about Hayden's shooting. They tell him that Hayden is actually Rachel Berlin, daughter of swindler Raymond Berlin, and they wondered if Hayden was the intended victim all along. Shawn told them that they weren't the first people to come to him with this theory and revealed that Hayden herself visited him back in November, and she was almost certain that he didn't shoot her. He told them he wasn't aware of there being a second shooter on the scene, and Sam promised to stay in touch and help him get out of prison sooner. While he appreciated that, he said that it wouldn't make a difference because he went there with the intent to kill Jason. Shawn asked to talk to Jason, who thanked him for his help. Shawn explained that the floor fell out from under him when Hayden told him that he had tried to kill Jake Doe, he had actually tried to kill Jason, and if things had been a bit different, that he might have killed the man he called his friend. Jason told Shawn that sometimes things happen for a reason, and that maybe there was a reason he couldn't get a clean shot. They wished each other good luck and parted ways on good terms. Aw, they're so bros.
So we're missing something pretty darn big here. At what point did Jordan tell him that TJ was his son?
Yeah, I don't know why.
Why is that not in here?
Maybe when it said shows her loyalty, that was supposed to let you know that a conversation came after that? I don't know.
Why? I almost feel like we need to do a quick side. All right, we're going to do it real quick. So at some point, why is that not in here?
I don't know.
Because that was huge. Because TJ was not happy about the fact that he found out that the man that killed his father, that he thought was his father, was actually his father. Wow. Huh. Follow that. It's not under TJ either. How is that big of a storyline? Okay, so thank you, Soaps in Depth, for your article just released last week. Okay, so following Duke Lavery's murder, Sonny assumed that Jake Doe, later Jason Morgan / Drew Kane, had killed him, so he ordered Shawn to take him out, but when Shawn tried, Jordan Ashford was there to stop him. He fired and shot Hayden, blah, 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 blah. Shawn was arrested, and Jordan revealed to him that he, not Tommy, was TJ's real father. So it wasn't until he was in jail.
Right. So yeah, it said that they showed they were on their side. I guess that's what they wanted you to know, was a whole conversation had happened that they just didn't tell us about.
Okay. So then on April 21st,
yay,
2021, Shawn is seen for the first time in 5 years when Jason Morgan, serving time after being falsely accused of the fatal shooting of Franco and having... Okay, so Alexis breaks up with him because Shawn was hired to shoot Franco, but doesn't want to do it. Alexis is now in jail because she attempted to kill Franco, but Jason is actually in jail because people think he killed Franco. That's crazy. And having spoken to both Anna Devane and Carly Corinthos in visitation at Pentonville, returns to his cell. Oh, Jason talked. I was like, Shawn didn't talk to them.
No.
Okay. As the corrections officers remove the cuffs, he's revealed he received a word from the higher-ups that Jason is getting a new roommate. The roommate, the CEO returns with, happens to be Shawn. Jason looks puzzled and surprised as Shawn and asks Shawn who set this up, to which Shawn replies, good question, further telling him about how TJ visits him frequently and expresses his condolences about Sonny's, quote, passing. Jason and Shawn further discuss how fellow inmates mostly look after one another. Jason can't do much since he's in prison. Sonny is, quote, dead, and Silas Renault is not. In order to handle any of Cyrus's henchmen who come after them, Shawn produces a shiv and shows it to Jason, which he ends up stabbing Jason with in the stomach off screen. Here's my thing. If you want to actually hurt your friend, like, I feel like he should have waited for Jason's back to be turned and then pulled it out instead of showing it to him, because then your friend's going to see you having the thing to it.
But it's like him in the back. That's not very
not the
nice.
back, but like as soon as he turns around, then cut him in the stomach. But showing it to him first is like more torturous than, you know what, dude, I'm just going to let you like totally black out from the pain and you won't have remembered seeing me just produce this shiv.
Now we know not to get on Shannon's bad side.
Oh, I've got it all planned out. Which he ends up stabbing Jason with in the stomach off screen. Okay. What we see on screen is the corrections officer pinning Shawn up against the bars. Shawn claims he came at me with that shiv. Later, Shawn is seen left alone in the same cell he and Jason were in, produces a contraband phone in which he used to contact Carly to tell her Jason is on his way to the hospital. And then we know that Jordan went and visited him, and they had a little back and forth about...
Because she didn't know that TJ went to visit him all the time.
Nope. Okay, so I'm kind of... I wish that I had more time to watch that, because I feel like there's still so much more missing in there. He and Carly hooked up.
Oh, yeah.
That was not mentioned in here.
Right.
Like, at all. It was just like, it got around their flirting. No.
They were together.
And it was cute.
It was cute.
They were very, very flirty. It was fun.
Why does everyone go from Carly to Alexis, though? It's very weird. I wouldn't like having that many people in common.
Do we want to go down this route?
I'm just saying.
I told you we can do a video about this sometime.
No, because it'll totally gross me out.
We're doing it sometime.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes. Yeah, we are. Once we figure out this TikTok thing, that's what our TikToks are going to be.
Oh my gosh. Megan can help us with that.
We'll get like one of those giant Post-it things, or like a, you know how they use on the TV shows with the clear glass marker boards?
Okay.
We'll get one of those.
Okay.
And then we'll do or we can do like the old school police and have the pictures and the string and the thumbtacks and tie the string around each one, connecting them all.
Connect it all, yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Guys, we're going to figure out TikTok. We are on there and we have like a couple of videos, but it's really just our ads from the show or from like our promos. But yeah, that has nothing to do with Shawn Butler.
Maybe Shawn's on TikTok.
Maybe.
Get him up.
But we hope that this helped fill in a little bit. Shawn has deep, deep ties into everyone that's on screen right now. And it's so good to have him back.
Maybe he'll get out and help find Sunny.
Maybe.
That would be really good.
Yeah. Because he's a tough guy, but he is a teddy bear.
Yeah.
Like very, very caring. You just have to watch him.
Yes. If you haven't had time, make sure that you make it to go back and look at all the videos, because I could have done it for days if I had time. I just didn't have time.
Yep. The only reason I got as much done as I did was because I had a mailing that I'm putting together. So yeah. So we hope that this filled in some gaps and that you're just as excited as we are to see what's gonna happen now that Shawn's back.
You're so excited. It's so cute.
I am, because it's good. It's just good. Okay. So join us on Monday as we talk about this week's shows, which hopefully has more Shawn.
Have a good weekend.
And we'll meet you at the pier.
Bye.
Bye.
If you enjoyed today's show, we invite you to go to pier54podcast.com to subscribe on your favorite platform. Don't forget to leave us a review.
And you can also follow us on many social media channels. Just search for Pier 54 Podcast. Also, we are not perfect, so if there is something that we missed or messed up, just let us know by emailing us at pier54podcast@gmail.com.